What's going on, everybody? Last episode of the year. 2020 is coming to a close. Thankfully, this is episode number 22, and my name is Faisal Khan, aka Goofy. And of course, I am joined by the two suspects, as Wes would say, starting with Hunter JJX, Justin Joseph. Man, last episode of the year. How you feeling? What's going on with you?
Man, I'm feeling good, bro. Super cool to wrap up the year with something new, something that we started this year with On My X, and super excited for all that 2021 will have for us. Obviously, it's been a blast to hang out with you guys, and also just to see all the support that we've seen this year. It's always a vibe. So I'm here, excited for episode 22.
There you go. There you go. Like to hear it. And also, of course, we got Wes Price, Clutch. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Couple hours before I fly back home. Literally a couple of hours. So I'm gonna shoot this episode, head to the airport, get gone, and have a good time. Enjoy my holidays. But first, we have a little bit of business to do. So excited to be here.
Definitely. Yeah, no, thank you for obviously getting on the show. I know you got a travel day, a travel night, I should say. Your flight doesn't leave till like midnight. It's crazy. So yeah, definitely. I hope you have fun in Memphis, man. I know it's gonna be, it's nothing like the end of the year to just kind of unwind and be able to really reflect on everything and get ready for the new year and get ready to kill it. So yeah, man, excited. For me, same thing. I had my fantasy basketball drafts a couple hours ago.
Ooh,
Man,
how'd that go?
I got bad. So we did.
Oh
It was,
no.
I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't know the full extent. I think my team is good, but it's like there's some question marks. But like I'm in two money leagues. One of them's only a 10-man league, which is strange. We couldn't, we didn't have 12
Teams are probably
people.
too stacked there.
Teams are too stacked.
That's how it is in fantasy football. It's like I don't even I refuse to do 10-man leagues because everyone has a winning team.
But I had like 7th pick, and my first pick was like Steph Curry, and then when it came back around, I got like Jason Tatum. So it was my first few picks were good in that league. Second league was a 12-man league. I got the 11th pick.
Oh my god!
Which is just in basketball, you need like a top 7, top 8 pick.
Fantasy football is very similar.
So
now does it go down the list and then come back up from the bottom?
So like
you get
12,
cool.
And then if you're 12th, you get 2 picks, and then 11th.
Yeah.
So
okay,
like
cool.
That was good too. I got Jason Tatum and Kawhi Leonard for my 11th, and then back around for my second round pick. But down the road, that's what makes your fantasy team is how you draft, like from the middle down, because then you can't really go wrong. I mean, of course there's some hits and misses that you could have, but ultimately I think from the middle really is the what makes your team. But I don't want to get too much into it. I'm already I don't know how to feel about it just yet. But
when you get a little bit more into it, you'll go into an auction draft.
Mm-hmm.
And auction drafts, everyone starts on an even footing, so they're technically, I consider them more competitive, because everyone has equal opportunity to every player. It's just how much you're willing to spend on that player, right?
Gotcha.
I like that.
Yeah,
so
that's interesting. That's
makes
meta.
it a little bit more competitive. Just for anybody out there that's looking to step up their fantasy game, the snake draft is old school. Like, typically, like if you don't have a first 5 pick, you're not getting a first 5 running back it's fantasy football, and if that happens, then you're kind of out of luck in some situations. But the auction draft, like I said, like equal opportunity, like the competitive integrity of
that's pretty cool.
The auction draft is probably higher, I would say.
And it feels like you have more control, right, over like who your team is going to be.
It's more even playing ground. It's not like there's not as many advantages and disadvantages.
Exactly.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah. But no, man. So yeah, guys, we are, again, like Justin said, we are really thankful and happy that we were able to kind of go on this journey with you guys. And kind of now we're 22, weeks, 22 episodes in, and it's crazy. I remember like it was yesterday where us three were talking about, wanting to do something like this, and honestly, and this is just me giving some life advice, probably out of context, but I swear, man, taking that first step into anything is like and this is probably so obvious, but it's so important, whether it's making a change in your life, whether it's doing, starting the gym or going back to school or trying to, whatever the case may be, like taking that first step and just starting the process is so important, man, because like if we hadn't done it, we could have so easily just not done that episode 1 and maybe just push it off and then never really committed to it. But instead we all did. They took that first step, and now 22 weeks later, we're building something amazing. So Just random thought that popped into my head.
I like that. I mean, I also think about the fact, Faisal, that like for those of you guys that don't know at home, you probably wouldn't know this, but like Wes hit us up like pretty much last second and was like, "Hey, like what you guys are thinking about doing this podcast? It's something I've always wanted to do." And we invited him to jump on with us, and like Wes, you've been like just a huge part of the show, and like him just taking that step of faith and be like, I'm going to reach out to those guys and see if I can be a part of that and kind of fit in there. And like, dude, the show would not have made it this far, I don't think, without you, bro. So
no, we got sick of you like 10 weeks ago, and this would have been done.
Just the two of us, and
let's be honest, I'm the reason most people watch this thing. I'm not
so yeah, like taking those steps, man, just going for it. Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, I think there was just always, in my opinion, a need for something. Hopefully we can do more for the community, but there's always a need for more content, and looking to be a part of that in any way, shape, or form is something I'm always interested in. And you guys had a great idea, it sounded like. We've come a long way. We got a long way to go.
Yep.
But to Faisal's point, anything I've ever been successful in life up until this point, it's always been effort, and showing up is so much of a percentage. Like it's a great percentage of seeing the results you want, whether or not it be working out, getting better at Halo, improving our podcast. It's just literally a matter of consistency and effort and showing up. If you show up to the gym 7 days a week, I promise you are going to see results. If you practice 7 days a week, I promise you are going to see results. We're going to keep consistently pumping out content for you guys, and we hope to see results.
Very well said. But yeah, guys, so now we're gonna, just to get to the core of the episode, like we said, the final episode of the year. We want to go around the table and kind of give our most memorable moment, competitive Halo wise, for the year of 2020. And I'm going to pass it on over to Justin. And this is we're kind of going right off the cusp here. We haven't really prepared anything. So Justin, I'm going to pass it over to you and kind of let the people know what is the most memorable or impactful moment, I guess, for you when it comes to competitive Halo in 2020.
Yeah. It's been a crazy year, and we still got some amazing Halo action, period, which is something that you love to see. We could have easily folded as a community, and so I got to give shout outs to obviously everyone that stayed on the grind, everyone that's continued to stream, continue to show up and compete for whatever's been thrown out there. My most memorable, I guess, Halo Esports moment, it's not so much a moment, but more of a movement, I would say. The thing that stood out to me the most about Halo Esports this year was kind of the advent of online only league. It's something that we've never seen before in the Halo scene. It's something that we wouldn't have necessarily chosen, but it was it's the cards that were dealt this year with the pandemic and everything else. We were forced to go online, and I would say, Halo didn't skip a beat. We've had tournaments consistently for just about the entire year. We've seen breakout performances. We've had amazing casts, tournament moments. We've had some amazing rivalries. We've seen the birth of a new potential rivalry with Sentinels versus Inconceivable, all the different finals we've gotten to see. And it's just been a cool thing to get to not only cast and be on that side of the table for, but also compete in and get to be a part of. So it's been a cool year in that sense. Wes, like, what's your kind of thoughts and feelings been about this year and like I said, the changes that we've had to make to keep the Halo scene going?
Yeah, I think part of me just is killed by the fact that we're not able to have live events and the energy and the nostalgia and the memories that are created from that environment. But that being said, with all of that having and forced to be sidelined due to obviously bigger circumstances, I think opportunity to expand on consistency of competition is the biggest benefit I think we can get from something that like we've had recently. It's weekly tournaments, bi-weekly tournaments, whatever it might be. It's like there's organizations picking up like leagues and forcing a Halo 3 2v2 tournament, or Esports Arena throwing a tournament every Sunday, creating that opportunity for players to grow, to get tournament experience, to get competitive experience. It might not be for the most money, but it's definitely something that's a bright future, hopefully, that's going to continue to grow and give more opportunity for players and amateur players to see spotlight, to achieve spotlight, to find success and just compete. Because I know a lot of it comes down to just pure competition and love for competition that a lot of people in our community have, and providing an experience like that still, even through the pandemic, is vitally important.
Absolutely. I love that take. Faisal, I mean, you've gotten a, cast with myself and Wes. You've also competed in a number of these. I mean, you've won a couple of these tournaments online. What's kind of your feel of the current environment of Halo Esports been throughout this year?
Yeah, so my take's a bit different, and I like to think of myself as an optimistic person. But this year, honestly, Halo's history and competitive gaming has had such an imprint on who I am and the life I was fortunate enough to live so far. Like, I'm 26 years old. I've been doing this competitive Halo stuff since I'm 13, so literally half my life, right? And over the course of those 13 years, I've had some amazing experiences, met some of the most brilliant people, and had some of the most memorable times, in the timeline, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But like this year, it was great in the sense where we made like we had to work with what we were given, right? And that's a nice way to put it. Like it was a tough year for everyone. Industries everywhere struggled and had to adapt, had to pivot, had to find ways to overcome the situation. And that the pandemic mixed with the fact that we were in like a off period for Halo, and whatever was planned for live events wasn't even able to happen. So it's not like we had a new game to grind in the pandemic. We didn't, right? We were half the community was playing Halo 5, half the community was playing Halo 3, people were playing Halo Reach in the middle, so it was kind of all over the place. But I think it did show, it showed resilience as a community that even, and we do have something great to look forward to, right? That's what's really keeping it all together, all taped up, is the fact that like that light at the end of the tunnel is Halo Infinite. And we were, at this point, we were initially, we were thinking we would have already been playing the game, but it got, because of the pandemic, that got delayed. And it's just been a very roller coaster of a year is what I'm trying to say. But ultimately, like, just to touch on your points, Justin, the opportunities I was given and able to have with commentating and casting, it was a big decision for me to step away from competitive gaming or trying to be on a top pro team. And honestly, I've been in that kind of transition period for a while now, because it's not like I've been on, when it comes to like super competitive Halo, especially Halo 5 at its peak, or even some, Halo before that at its peak. Like, I wasn't on the teams that were winning at the time, even though I would consider myself to be a good player and on good teams that could make some upsets at tournaments. But, this year was important for me because I was able to kind of make that mental decision and transition into something that's still related to competitive Halo, and something that could still kind of engage that side of my, what I'm interested in and my hobbies. But I'm able to basically talk to the community and give you guys the information that I've learned over the course of the years. And I think commentating really allows me to do that, or even speaking about series after games when, just speaking about games after series when we're on broadcast, and just able to really express how, or explain how I see the game in different, I think that's really cool. So that mixed with competing, Halo 3, I was playing a lot, every tournament, every week. And obviously you were there competing with me, Justin, and we had some battles. And it was fun, man. So, overall, to sum up my thoughts on it, I think, and me and Wes still actually have to give what our moments were, but this is all kind of looping around to your thing, Justin. But yeah, I think we showed, a lot of resilience as a community, but ultimately it was a roller coaster. And I'm ready for the year to be over, and I'm ready for Halo Infinite to be out, and I'm ready to grind something new, and just anxious and excited.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the biggest thing for me, I think that stands out about the online only year that we've had, is like it kind of removed a lot of the barriers for entry that we kind of have, where it's like traditionally in Halo you had to go to a LAN. That was where you proved yourself, which was awesome. But for me, for example, I couldn't afford to go to every event back in the day. You know what I mean? There was barriers like traveling or age, and I feel like with the online stuff, kind of removed all that. So there was no excuses for people to not, give it their all and test what they're worth. And, we might touch on them later, but we've seen players like Bound emerge, you know what I mean, from online, who's never been to a tournament but is on a top team. So it's been a cool way to kind of let all the talent be shown. With that being said, I want to throw it over to Wes. I know Wes has a pretty special moment he wants to talk about. So Wes, what's your most memorable Halo Esports moment or thing from 2020?
Yeah, no, I touched on missing LAN events and whatnot, but we did absolutely have one LAN event at the start of 2020. That was going to be your Anaheim event, and just the nostalgic feeling that I still remember from that, and the team that we saw kind of uprise during that tournament and really show out and play phenomenal Halo Reach at the time, and that's inconceivable. And I want to talk about just inconceivable and the year that they've had, the success that they've seen, the consistency that they provided, and how what is the ceiling for this team? Because like it's a mix of different players, right? It's Boobadooboo, it's Falcated, it's Spartan, it's Saiyan, it's a mix, like give or take a Tusk somewhere, a Bound, whoever, depending on the Halo. But this core of Boobadooboo, Falcated, Saiyan, like these players are here to play, and we saw for so long Sentinels at the top, whether or not it was CLG, Optic, Tox, Sentinels. Splice was right next to him for a little bit there, but we lost a couple of those players, I feel, and with that, everyone wondered who was going to be able to compete with Sentinels without the likes of Shotzi in the scene. Um, these players have stepped up big. These players have created a rivalry where people didn't think a rivalry was going to be created, where people doubted them. They thought, there's no way these guys are ever going to get good enough to really compete with Sentinels. These guys have pushed Sentinels to the limit throughout this year. I know it's a lot of it has been online, but that's everybody's playing with the same deck. And Falcade and Boobadooboo have played so well this entire year. So my most memorable thing is the uprising of these new young guns that we're going to potentially see for years to come. That's Boobadooboo, Falcated, saying like it's incredible to watch them perform at such a high level. They've come so far, and it feels like they're only getting better.
Definitely.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. Go ahead,
I
Faisal.
think, and another significant point to that tournament, that inconceivable one, because that was actually going to be my answer too initially, but I ended up picking something else, and I'll go into that right after this. But yeah, I think that tournament was significant for the fact that, in hindsight, because it was the only LAN tournament we had for the year, but also because it was Halo's first ever PC tournament, right? So the first
That's
time
massive.
ever we're on LAN, we played a Halo tournament on a PC. So I think for that reason, it was super significant and memorable. And obviously, all credit to the inconceivable guys. At the time, it was obviously Spartan, Boo Boo, Falcated, and Ace. So they stamped their names in history, in Halo history, and excited to see. Inconceivables roster hasn't officially announced their team yet, but we do know Bound and Falcated and Boobadooboo are on that roster. So I'm looking forward to seeing them compete in the starting 2021 with whatever the competitive Halo scene is, but also and ultimately for Infinite. But I want to go into my most memorable, something that stuck with me, I guess, the most in competitive Halo in 2020. And for me, it would be kind of understanding, appreciating, and just witnessing Sentinels continue their dominance, right? And it started at the beginning of, I guess you could say it started at the beginning of Halo 5, but really even before that, Relative
H2A.
Snakebite. Yeah.
H2A, they just
weren't
mopped the floor.
winning, but they were
were
consistently second.
Sure. So
And you knew
that
it was going to be there.
Yeah, so that would be the start of their run. I agree. But their dynasty began when they kind of built that roster, beginning of Halo 5, Royal 2, Snakebite, Lethal, and Frosty, obviously. And over the course of and Clutch, Captain and the coach Clutch in the background. So definitely, no, you definitely helped kind of ground them, I'm sure, and keep them,
Kept them all hydrated.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so before I dive into my point, it's just the fact that Sentinels was able to, and the Halo 5 Season 1 championships, you had Frosty coming back to their team. They made the announcement. It was a big deal. He's coming from COD. He hadn't played Halo in a while. You have Snakebite, Royal 2, not really playing the game all that much. Lethal not even playing the game at all, choosing not to play, kind of playing Halo 3. And you saw them pick up Neptune. So a whole new player. None of them really had played with them before. He was new to the scene altogether, and they pick him up. And they do well to start off season 1. They struggle. Then the championships come around and they win like pretty handily. It's like, damn, all right, Sentinels won. Yeah. And then season 2 comes around of the Halo 5 Pro Series, and they're struggling. Neptune goes to Call of Duty. So now they're struggling even more because they don't have a fourth. They end up picking up Trippy. First tournament they play with him, they do bad. They don't even make the finals. They get destroyed, essentially get third, fourth. Then the championships come around, and guess what? They won again. So
dominantly again.
Yeah. So what I took away from the year and what really stuck with me is, whenever Sentinels, and I think I've probably said this multiple times over the course of these shows and on the broadcasts, but whenever Sentinels has to perform and whenever they feel they're being doubted, they always come out and play extremely well. And even this year, where anyone could reasonably give them a pass for if they didn't play well, or a pass for if they hadn't won the champs, considering that they're not playing with Lethal, considering that it's 2020 and they're playing Halo 5 and they weren't really practicing, whatever the case, whatever excuses you could put in there, they cut it all out and they won again. So for me, that's what stuck with me, or that's what I remember when I think of memorable things in Halo 5 or in 2020 for Halo. And yeah, I think those are all some good moments.
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, just to touch on the Sentinels thing. I mean, it's just a testament to those guys and the professionals that they are at the highest level. Those guys come to play when it matters most, to your point, Faisal. And having teamed with them, having coached them, having sat back and commentated them, I've never in the history of Halo have I seen guys with more ice in their veins. And when they want something, they can get it just about every time. Maybe not every single time, because competition sometimes gets pretty fierce, but
Shotzi.
More times than not, those guys, my money goes on those guys to take home that trophy if they want it.
Yeah, do you think you bring up Shotzi, Faisal, and I think absolutely with Sentinels, man, it's crazy the legacy they have, but it's even crazier to me the fact that book is still open, right? Like, it's still being written. It's not been closed off yet, so who knows how much longer, how much more they got in the tank. Yeah, there was that one that Shotzi, he was a problem, obviously, and I worry about the scene. I'm like, with Shotzi not around, are they? Is it going to be even more dominance, with Infinite Round in the corner? I mean, we know how hard they work when the game is early. We know how far ahead they can get. But yeah, I think Faisal, you nailed it though. Whenever we would come in here and doubt them, it felt like the very next week they would just show up and shut us up like immediately, and win a championship again. But man, I love the fact that they are still involved. I love the fact that we're seeing content out of Snakebite, with his channel and everything that he's doing. I'm seeing him post on YouTube regularly and all that now. So like, it shows that they still care about the scene, right? It's not just them collecting a check and dipping. They're still invested. They're still connected. And we know when Infinite comes out, we're going to see a lot of big things out of those guys. So really, really great point, Faisal. And yeah, I'm excited to see how many more dreams they're going to shatter, how many more, gates they're going to be just keeping locked up, because those guys are not even close to being done,
For sure. But yeah, for everyone watching, this is going to be a shorter episode. Wes has to catch a damn flight here pretty shortly. So we wanted to, and like you guys, if you remember in the last week's episode, we mentioned we're actually recording episode 22 today, which is Monday, a day after we just recorded episode 21. So, we wanted to bring you something because we know we're all going to be busy with end of the year, holiday, family stuff. But we wanted to stay consistent. And that's why this episode is going to be shorter. I think we're pretty much going to wrap it up now. Justin or Wes, I don't know if y'all have any closing thoughts, but again, from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone on here on my X when I say that we appreciate y'all's support, and let us know what you want us to talk about. There's a comment saying we should make a list for top 20, like a very sound list, each of us, and we go through ranking the players and kind of making an all-time list and going through it or something like, so we read your comments.
Justin's list would be so bad.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Justin will literally have like Saiyan in the top 20, and I'll throw up. I
For
swear to
all
God.
time, Wes?
Not
For all
like,
time?
Not Halo 5 Saiyan.
Oh my
Halo 2,
gosh.
Halo 2 Saiyan.
So yeah,
Hey.
that list would be crazy, and it would be.
We're
a
gonna
fun...
have to. We might have to have a substitute and get Justin
Bring-
out of here for that episode. 'Cause, I mean, I'm not having a conversation about how Ogre One is a top 20 player of all time.
You don't think he is?
I don't think Ogre One puts himself in the top 20 all time.
Okay.
It seems so. We're gonna have to break this down in another episode. But
We'll have to go point system like we did for the what was it, the top 5 Halo 3
Hey,
players. We'll go like
He's
that.
a hell of a top laner.
And we'll see how it goes.
But Justin, I'm gonna pass it over to you and just close it out for us, and
absolutely,
and take us out of here. Let's end the year out.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, close out 2020 on my X show. I gotta let you guys know I am most thankful, obviously, for my co-host first and foremost. So Faisal West, thank you guys for putting up with me and being a part of this thing. And yeah, it's been nothing but good times. For those of you guys that don't know, we usually end up hanging out here like before the show, after the show. We're always just sitting here just vibing. So always a good time with you boys. So I appreciate you guys for sure. And Faisal and I are about to go regulate the playlist. But before we do that, I want you guys to let us know what your top moments for Halo Esports 2020 were. Let us know in the comments as well. Like Faisal said, let us know any topics you would be interested in us covering. You guys' ideas are great and much appreciated. So with that being said, let's wrap this thing up. 2021 right around the corner. We'll see you guys there. I guess it'll be next week with when this is posted. So we'll see you guys next week. First episode of 2021 coming your way. Our socials and streams are in the description. So be sure to check out the channels, follow the Twitters, do the dang thing. We love you guys. Thank you guys so much for just about 600 subs in a short amount of time. We appreciate it. Less than 6 months. So we'll catch you guys next year. Take care. Peace.